Welcome back. Okay, so this is part 2 of our advanced healing video. In this video, I'm going to talk about platform training. This is a really good way to get a really good healing dog. It really trains a dog. It really teaches a dog where heel position is, and very specifically, because it limits their range of motion, and so they have to be in heel position using this method. I'll demonstrate. So what you do is, I like using a bowl. This is just like a dog food bowl that has a solid rubber bottom, so it gives good traction. And I put a brick underneath it to stabilize it, and I put on a mat which helps it from slipping around as well. Girl. Now the first step is to get the dog to put their front feet on the bowl. And you just do that through regular old shaping. So be sure to watch my video on shaping before doing this. So first, when the dog shows any interest in the bowl, you click and treat. Then you wait for them to touch it with a foot before you click and treat. Then you wait for them to put 2 feet on it before you click and treat. And once the dog is putting 2 feet on, and you want it to be their front feet, their 2 front feet. So once they're putting their 2 front feet on the bowl, you want to see if they will move their back end a little bit. And you can do that sometimes by standing in front of them and kind of moving yourself a little bit. And as soon as they move their back feet at all, click and treat. Even if they just move their back feet a little bit, click and treat. So at this point, we want their front feet to be on the bowl or on the platform, and we want them to move their back feet in a circle around their front feet. And one way to get them to start moving is by standing in front. One way to get them to start moving their back feet is by standing in front of them and kind of moving yourself a little bit. That sometimes gets them to move their back feet. Another thing you can do is have some treats in your hand, and put your hand closed fist, directly above their head. And see if you can encourage them to follow your hand with their neck, which will turn their back end. So see, she's following her nose, my hand with her nose. That's turning her neck, and that's turning her back end. Now once the dog is at that point and taking a couple steps, stop having food in your hand. Just have your fist up there and click and treat the dog for moving their back end with just your fist up guiding their head. And then as you keep clicking and treating, the dog will start to move more and more. Before you go any further, you want the dog to do a full circle on their own with their front feet on the platform and their back feet just going in a circle. And you want them to be able to do that do at least one repetition of that. Let's see if she'll do 2. Okay, good girl. So once the dog is really comfortable with those front feet being on the platform and moving their rear feet around, the next part is for you to move into heel position while they are rotating around. So they're rotating around and you step into heel position. Let me try to demonstrate again. So they're moving around, you step into heel position for just like a step or 2. You step into heel position. So again. They're rotating around, step into heel position, click and treat. And very soon, the upturned fist becomes a cue for the dog to start spinning. So you can, the next step is to do that while you're in heel position, while you're next to the dog instead of out in front of the dog, go away from the dog. And so here, this is training the dog to get into heel position and to also move their back end to align with wherever you are going. And that's very important, especially when you're doing pivots and tight turns in dog sports. Okay, so once you're at this point, you're doing circles with the dog. You also want to do circles the other way. So usually I start out with the dog doing coming to my left. So the dog is, so we're both kind of moving to the left. You also want the dog to be able to move away from you. And when you're doing that, when you're first having the dog, you and the dog turn to the right, step back with your left foot, step back slowly, and as the dog moves away at all, click and treat. Since the dog at this point is probably very used to moving closer to you, moving to the left, moving to the right is something you want to take very slowly. So you slowly step back with your left foot and rotate the other direction. Do it very slowly so you don't step on the dog's feet too. And gradually increase the amount of time or duration. Okay, so that's one piece of it. So another piece of the puzzle, good girl, okay, good girl. Another piece of the puzzle is training the dog to move into heel position, no matter where they are in relation to you. And once the dog is doing the platform work and is rotating in both directions, what you can do is distract the dog, have them move away from the platform, toss a treat on the floor, and you stand next to the platform. And when they come close, wait, see if they will move into heel position. And you can use the upturned fist above their head to to encourage the rotation if they're confused at first by the different setup. Okay. But stand in different positions in relation to the dog and wait for them to move into heel position and then click and treat. You can toss the treat too. And as your dog gets used to this game, you can stop using the upturned fist and just have your hand by your waist. Get it. So once the dog is moving into heel position pretty consistently, then you want to start asking them to sit when they move into heel position. Sit. Good girl. Sit. Good. Sit. Good. Good girl. Sit. Good. And when you ask them to sit, you want to make sure that they're in heel position. And if they sit and they're crooked or they're not quite in heel position, ask them to continue the rotation until they are in heel position. It's especially challenging when you are moving, when you're going to the right. Sit. Good. Dogs have a tendency to sit wide when you first start moving to the right. And sit. Good. Try moving to the right again. Sit. Good. Good. Now, a problem that I have is, and a problem that is really easy to get in the habit of, is putting your left shoulder back so you can look at your dog. And you've probably seen me do that throughout this video because I have a bad habit of doing that. It's a good idea to try to keep your shoulders square. Especially if you have a dog that looks up at you when they're heeling, having your shoulder back can confuse the dog, can get them out of heel position. It can cause them to lag, or it can your body language can throw them out of heel position, basically. So it's good to, from the beginning, be in the habit of having your shoulders square. And it's very easy to get in that habit of looking down over your left shoulder. But try to keep your shoulders square and facing the direction you're going. And that will help your dog more. If your shoulders are square, facing the direction you're going, your dog will cue off that as well and follow the direction of your shoulders. So I'm going to try to demonstrate this again with my shoulders more square. Sit. Okay, I think I did a little better job that time. And then once your dog's doing this really good, you can have them sit and then have them get back up and keep rotating. You can switch up and have them rotate one way and then rotate the other way. And all this is really teaching your dog to cue into your body language, and see what, and teach, and they learn what they need to do to stay in heel position, what they need to focus on to stay in heel position, how they need to focus on you, and what they need to observe in your motions so that they can maintain a good heel position. The platform really helps with this because it limits where they can put their front feet. So they have to be close to you. And then all you need to focus on once they understand the platform is making sure you click when they are in line with you, and just gradually moving on from there, making it gradually more challenging. Good girl! Almost done? Yes. So you can also move back and forth. Like that. And here again, the dog really has to pay attention to what you're doing, to your body language, so they can anticipate that turn or that rotation that you are going to make. Ready? Good. Okay, good girl. Nice job. Very good. Good job, good boy. Very nice. Very good. Yes. And so, then gradually you move away from the platform. So, like, you can go from the platform to something that is not as high, something that's a little bit lower. Like this textbook is lower than the platform. And have the dog do the same thing by on the lower platform. Get close. Good. Good. Get close. Get close. Sit. Good. Nice job. And then gradually reduce it until you have just like a visual mark on the floor, like this rug. Get close. Good. Kitty is doing very well. She's very tired. We've been doing a lot today. Get close. Get back. Get close. Get back. Get close. Sit. Yes, good girl. Good. And then once the dog is rotating in both directions, doing the pivots left and right, without anything on the floor, then you can start having the dog move a little bit in heel position. Yes. So, for example, get close. So we're going to take a step here. Sit. Good. So there, instead of just going a circle, we did a little circle and then we took a step. Good girl. Get close. Sit. Good. Very good. Get back. Get close. Get back. Get close. Sit. Good. And so you gradually just start adding more maneuvers, start adding some straight lines into your circles. So yeah, so again, once you're doing this without the block, without any visual target, then you start adding more elements. Get close. Sit. Get close. Get close. Get back. Sit. Good. Get it. Good girl. Get close. Good. Get close. Good. Get close. Good. Get back. Good. Get close. Good. Get close. Sit. Good. Get close. Get back. Sit. Get close. Good. Get back. Get close. Yes, good girl. And Penny has a lot more trouble going to the right than going to the left, turning to the right than turning to the left since we started out with her going to the left. So that is something that we need to work on. Should we end with that, Penny? Get close. Get close. Good. Okay. Okay. Yes, good. Good girl. Good. Get close. Yes. And then you can also widen the circles. That's another thing that you can do after you have taught the pivots, is you can gradually widen the circles. Get close. Get back. Good. Very good, Penny. Good. And so through training this using the platform, at some point I added the verbal cue, get close, and that means, for Penny, that just means return to heel position. So when you hear me say that, that's what that means. Earlier when we were doing the platform work, I was talking about how, about tossing the treat away and having the dog return to heel position on the platform. Whereas, well, as you go down each level, as you go to the smaller platform and then to no platform, it's important to keep practicing that exercise. Keep practicing having the dog return to heel position with you standing next to the platform, and then eventually just standing wherever you are. And that helps reinforce in the dog's mind where heel position is. So you always want the dog to be able to return to heel position with you standing still. Get close. Good. That sit was a little bit crooked, but wasn't too bad, and she's very tired now. Get close. Good. And one thing that you can do if you're working on your dog returning to heel position, and they tend to sit with their butt out, they tend to sit wide, you can, if you've done the platform work and you have that solid pivot, you can just pivot a little bit more, so you'd be pivoting a little bit more to your left, and that will encourage the dog to bring their rear end closer, and that is something I'm currently working on with Penny. I'll demonstrate that quickly before we wrap up. Penny! You close? So she's a little crooked, so I'm just going to move a little more. I'm going to keep moving until she straightens herself out nicely. Good. Good job, Penny. And so that's how, that is one way to train a formal obedience heel. And the platform work really does wonders and really helps with that training. So I definitely recommend it if you are interested in, if you're interested in training your dog to heel really precisely. So thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions about anything I covered, any comments, and have a great day.